Good night and welcome to Sick of You Corey. I'm pleased to be coming to you tonight from our pre-recorded version of the show. By now, if you're tuning in, you probably caught my last video on Facebook where I would have given you the whole introduction to our new concept. We're not going to be Sick of You Corey live anymore, but there are very good reasons for that. But we have a great show planned for you tonight. Just refer to my last video so you can get caught up on all the details leading into this show, and of course hopefully you caught some of the promotion for this show. And I got a great panel here with me tonight to discuss our topic, which is why Bajans feel the way they do about LGBT issues. Why do people in Barbados feel the way they do about LGBT issues? So the panel I have with me tonight, first of all, I want to welcome my co-host for the night, Mr. Marcus Myers, Mr. Research and Social Science.
Saying?
Yeah, you good?
Yeah, cool, man.
I agree. I agree. This is my co-host, my first show having a co-host, so I'm pleased to welcome him. And yeah, we're gonna get into the conversation. And then I have Mr. Dwayne Gibbs. I almost call you Mr. Gibbzydan, but anyhow, Mr. Gibbs. But Dwayne Gibbs, Gibbzydan, that's how everybody knows it.
Is Gibson or Gibbs?
Yeah.
Gibbs.
People probably don't even know your first name.
Oh, shit.
I didn't know your first name for a long time. But anyhow, and we have Miss Kerryann with not last but not least. And each of these people here tonight are people who I have had conversations with about this issue, and that is why we're here tonight, to have a conversation on air or recorded conversation about this issue. Just to give you a little background, and I will include this in my video as well, this is a topic that was based on a research idea. So the idea was not to get like experts on the topic, and I do want to establish before we get any conversation tonight that I'm not asking our guests to give you any, to try and establish themselves as any authority on the topic. They're here tonight with us because they have a perspective on the issue. The original idea was to just have a regular conversation with some regular, quote unquote, average Barbadians about this topic and try to dig down and drill down and understand why people feel the way they do about this topic. And that's what we're doing here tonight. So that's the basic concept. To get us rolling tonight, I'm gonna read some stats from a Cadres poll. Not many people know that this is a topic that was polled in Barbados way back in 2013. This data is already 5 years old. We had a survey in Barbados talking about attitudes towards homosexuality and towards homosexuals in Barbados. And the basic stats that I would share with you were that of Bajan attitudes, we had 39% Barbadians who were tolerant. So that's like almost like 2 in 5 Barbadians who were tolerant of gay people. We had 28% who were accepting. So together that makes up 67% or 2/3 of Barbadians who were at least tolerant of gay people. And then you had 17% who claimed to hate Bajans. So throwing the stats over to you guys, what is that? You know, like you could feel free to introduce yourselves as well. Like what do those stats say to you in terms of how you know Barbados exists?
But what I want to ask too is what your answer to that stat would be if you had to do the same poll, what you would click. Can you give the
you want to know where I stand?
No, I mean I want to know what are the, give me again the choices.
Tolerant, accepting, hate, and unsure would have been one of them too, but I don't have the unsure here.
Unsure. Okay, yeah. I would want to hear from everybody just where you will fall on that.
You want to hear what each of the people hear?
Yeah.
I wouldn't have put people on the spot, so, but you know, feel free.
For me, I would start and say that I guess is accepting. Mm-hmm. I just never cared. I just never thought it was something to like talk about. It was just a thing, right? Mm-hmm. But to hear how people just get on and thing is kind of strange to me because everybody got their own differences and stuff, but they kind of stick on that one.
It was
right?
Never a thing for you.
Never at all. It was just like, oh, people do that. Okay, well, people do a whole bunch of strange things, mm-hmm. right? And I mean, I'm not saying that it's strange, but I mean, whether for me, if it is something that I don't do, mm-hmm. yeah, a lot of people do things I don't do. Okay, cool.
Like, got nothing to do with you.
Yeah, it doesn't really have anything to do with me, and yeah, that's that. So I always was on that side of accept it. Yeah.
Gibbs, like, feel free if you don't.
No, for me, like human beings as a whole interest me. I ain't sorry would have studied anthropology, but the point is, human beings on a whole, I find interesting what makes us tick, what makes us make the choices we make based on past experiences and everything. So for me, it's like I just look at people as people, and that gives me the perspective to say, okay, well, I don't know what your situation is. I don't know what would have led to how you view life and the world in itself. So I can't really say I could condemn you in any way or even judge you in any way. It's just a situation where it's like, okay, well, this is what this person is, or this is what this person has chosen. The funny thing is too, we don't all begin as how we end. So a person may begin one way and end this particular way. There's so many variables that determines the path of a person's life and the choices they make. But for me, ultimately, I like to deal with the person. I will sit down and have a conversation with pretty much any person. You understand? Because you'll learn something from the person, and human connection is a real palpable thing. When you read about a person in an article, or you grow up learning things from afar, you almost, as you had said earlier off camera, you almost forget about the humanity attached to these situations. But when you look a person in the eye and you can feel a person's energy and stuff like that, now, you realize it's a humanity thing though. It's beyond the surface level, the orientation, the choices, the style of dress, whatever. Is about a human connection, and that is the thing that I find the most interesting. So I will have a conversation with anybody about the journey and the lifestyle. That's just how I am.
Kerryann? Not to put you on the spot or anything.
No. In the past, if you had asked me that question like 15 or 20 years ago, I probably would have said I would be against it or whatever. But that changed considerably, and if I were to answer that question, no, I would say I am completely and totally accepting.
So, but what is the turning point for you? Like, what was that one thing that happened, or was it more an incremental progression into where you are now?
I think it was incremental, but for the most part, I remember. I remember one of my biggest memories concerning my turning point was having an argument with some person, and she was saying that loving some person of the same sex is perfectly normal. For some people, it is perfectly normal, and how sexuality was a spectrum, and that kind of thing. And my viewpoint of it was that if you were involved in a same-sex relationship, or if you were attracted to some person of the same gender, it had to be because something happened to you in your past. Like it has to be that.
Like, you were accepted.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And for me, it wasn't that it was a bad thing, but for me, it was something had to have happened.
Yeah. Okay.
So it was like a deviant thing, like some deviation from the norm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was an interesting perspective. But I still wanted to know though, before we move on, like those stats, because we're talking not only today about our personal experiences, but we're talking about how we see Barbados, how we experience the society around us. That sounds like a true reflection of what you experience, or is there anything you think that the hate higher, the acceptance higher, or anything? What did the stats say to you guys?
Absolutely.
It's a true reflection.
It is a true reflection of what I read them again. Let me hear it.
39% tolerant, and that tolerant is a tricky word.
It's a tricky word.
I wanted to define tolerant.
Define tolerant,
right?
Please.
Yeah. So we got accepting, right? I think accepting and hate are easy. To me, the tolerant is anywhere in between. That's why it's a tricky one, because you could be like one step from hate, or you could be one step from accepting. Although I think maybe the hate more likely, but anyhow.
I think the Bajan definition of tolerant is, I don't like it,
But
keep it for around me, do you think? And I think that line is blurred. Those lines are blurred when people say that, because it's said with the same kind of hatred that you would say if you were just intolerant. So when people say, oh, he like that, or say, well, stand for around me, and do you think?
But do you think? Yeah.
But that's kind of like
a roundabout. Standing for around me being more.
That is exactly that is a roundabout way of basically saying that you're intolerant.
Yeah.
Right? So I don't know.
If you had, because my thing is, right, based on what you just said, so if that person, let me use the person with the mentality you just expressed, if that person had a choice between having this person, these type of people in the same society with them or not, they would probably choose not, at least in my head.
Which
That's
is
kind
intolerance.
of how you see it.
Right.
And the other thing I wanted to add on to this too is kind of how we see Barbados in relation to the rest of the world.
I feel Barbadians will argue with you though.
How so?
I feel Barbadians will argue that dying with them thing.
You really think so?
That what he said is not
That
what
what
they
he
think?
said is not what they mean.
So what do they mean? To
I
you?
mean, I said, what can't I tell you what you mean?
But do you think that
But I can tell you that Barbadians will say, dying with me? Nah.
Yeah,
No, Barbadians will argue.
oh well, yeah.
Because you listen to the news, or at least I guess I reached that age in life where I was the man that's pull up to places and you could hear the news playing on the radio real loud, you know, I reached that old man stage. I
Man, you are old,
I was listening to
yo.
BBC radio. 'Cause I get informed. I get informed.
Say.
I get informed.
Say.
You know, listen to BBC radio is hear about homophobia in places, is hear about the Middle East, and Barbados clearly is not like the Middle East or some other places. So there's some people that would think that we not like them, so we good.
Exactly.
But we all think, you think the situation here could start to improve, or because I find that point that you said that people would debate you real interesting, but I guess you just mean that from a debate standpoint, people would debate it. But in the grand scheme of things, these stats versus the rest of the world, where you think we fit
From a
in?
debate point of view, I mean, deep down inside, people do not see themselves like that.
Right. Okay.
They don't. People, you will go on the street and the average man that tells you I am tolerant and you say that to him, oh God, I didn't go on there. But the average man, and you say that is what you mean, the average man will tell you, not me. I love everybody. And once he ain't troubling me, but the average man will not say to you, or the average woman will not say to you. The average
everybody.
the average no, you will not love everybody, but the average Bajan is not going to.
So you think it's like
that.
it's denial?
They are in denial. They're in denial. They will not accept the fact that you have animosity towards these people. People who say I am tolerant will not accept you are not as tolerant as you think.
So in their heads, they don't have animosity.
No.
Okay.
I would want
That
to
has
ask.
been my experience.
But I would want to ask. I guess the whole panel. What do you define tolerance to be?
Well, this is interesting because I had a conversation with a friend, and I thought tolerant was. My definition of tolerant was okay. I accept it. It does not upset me. That's what I thought. That's what my definition of tolerant was. Their definition of tolerant was more embracing than anything else. It was, as you said, is a spectrum. So it could teeter more towards wholeheartedly accepting, or it could land somewhere closer to intolerance. You could be one step away from intolerance, but you're still within the spectrum of tolerance. So I think we were on opposing ends of the spectrum. So it was a situation where we both had to Google it, like what is the definition of tolerant? And it was more akin to what they were saying, where it's more accepting. I thought it was a case of, in my mind, is that you're not vehemently against it. You're just like daily or whatever, just whatever. Like as you said, just don't correct me. I thought that's what tolerant was, but apparently tolerant is a little more tolerant than the definition that I had previously thought.
But,
so that was very interesting.
But if you can say you tolerate a person, though, would that really sound like to you?
But you see, they got a lot of words that we use in Bajan context that like malicious. So when we use the word malicious, we use that to mean inquisitive and stuff like that. So we have our own spin on a lot of words.
We use malicious to mean inquisitive.
Well,
all up in your business for a gypsy, right?
Malicious, pearly, you understand? So,
inquisitive is a nice way of putting it.
Right, so there's a lot of, ignorant is another word that ironically we are ignorant of. Because in school, coming up, if somebody tell you that you're ignorant, you're stupid. So when somebody tell you, well, you're ignorant when it comes to the manufacturing of this bottle, you get vexed. Because you questioning my intelligence now. You understand? So tolerate is another word that for me, I thought tolerate was, well, from my understanding, I cool. I ain't all the way there. So if I say I tolerate the music you listen to,
Right.
it's like I won't mash up the radio.
Yeah.
But I just like
Interesting. We had to
all right,
put it,
whatever.
considering
He like
topic.
that. He like oldie goldies. I tolerate his oldie goldies.
I drive and listen to news.
Right.
You, would
You are
tolerate that.
so old, boss.
But tolerate no, I mean, yeah, I can sit down and listen with you. That's not what it was in my head.
It is a spectrum. It's very broad. It's
So-
very broad. I can admit that. Let's talk about y'all's personal experience coming along. Like, would you say or really what are some of the personal experiences that brought you here today? What do you grow up experiencing? What would you say you left behind from your socialization as a child? And what do you bring with you to this point now? Anybody?
Well,
I can say,
Everybody looking at one another.
I can say, man. I think that as I described before, that I don't really care. Like, so like if somebody is gay, as opposed to being straight, I will talk to them the same way, the same exact way.
So you know, you got me real curious to know what you were told growing up. Like, what you remember?
I wasn't told anything.
Nothing.
And my family is more the traditional conservative kind of Bajan family. So I don't know why. You know what it is? I went to St. Gabriel's. And St. Gabriel's, the socialization of St. Gabriel's.
Covered no.
Yeah, listen.
Gibbs, that's one. I'm kidding.
But that made me very accepting of all kinds of people. It doesn't matter what culture, I was always judging somebody by what they said and stuff. So even what you would say,
You know, it's a real mature perspective for a little man, right?
which I never saw as mature, but when I went to Calmere, if I had a girl name, yeah, it's true. We won't do that. When I went to Calmere, right? Let me give you a good example. If somebody say, you know who's Jamila? I would say, who Jamila? They would say, big fat black Jamila, right? Or they would say, you know, Jamila that's gone like a lesbian, right? Right. When I was at St. Gabriel's, they would more describe, like, do you know who's Patrick? Patrick who? They would say Patrick that, you know, plays games and thing. Oh, you mean that Patrick? Right? And the way that we describe people was different. And so then when I went to Calmere, I realized that we were more describing by appearances. But at St. Gabriel's, I was more kind of taught, whether I knew or not, to kind of judge people by how they behave. Right? And I guess that always stayed with me. And so when I went Calmere, and then skip a bit to when I got into like acting, etc. And that was my approach to acting too. If I saw an acting role and it was a gay character, it was the same way as I would look at a rapist. It would be the same as if I look at a businessman. It would be the same as it is me immersing myself into a role. I played like 3 gay roles, and it changed the way people look at me to the point that I got mischaracterized up to this day. People think that I'm gay up to this day.
You get typecast?
I get.
When somebody got a gay role coming out now.
Yeah. But I guess the audience, when I play a gay role now, like forget the rapist, right? If I play a rapist, they know that I'm not a rapist in real life. But if I play a gay character now, it's like, oh, this person is actually a gay. He's probably gay. It's like, no, right? Right? I mean, I don't go rattle off Will Smith, Jamie Foxx, you know, all these people that played characters that, you know, they're not representing their sexuality, but all of a sudden people kind of get strange, man. And up to now,
change the way people approach
up
you.
to now, I deal with it. I dealt with it last night. Somebody that I care about a lot sat me down and is like, is there something you want to tell me?
I should be finding this funny.
Listen, I've experienced that for the last like 4 years. Wow. Most females that like me too. If they like me, there will also be a conversation where it'd be like,
so
you so like
I've been meaning to ask.
So like the Pride March, when you went to the Pride March, like why did you? Are you? Yeah. I'd be like, No, I care about people's rights and freedoms, and I think that fighting for people's rights and freedoms in one area is fighting for rights and freedoms everywhere. So I mean, when I fight for gay people, I'm also fighting for you and me. Is that, you know?
Which incidentally, in the society we live in, the people who are privileged, like yourself
Yeah.
or like myself,
Yeah.
feel at ease to go and be in a pride march because we don't
Right.
feel like we gotta hide anything.
Precisely.
But people don't even understand
People don't
that
see
dynamic.
that. Yeah.
What about my thoughts here in terms of like socialization? If you remember anything from childhood, what you were exposed to,
yes.
what you might hold on to,
Yeah,
what
we
you might
experiences
be left
to be a
behind.
little more similar.
Okay.
I remember quite a bit about childhood.
Let me hear that there.
So I had a family member, a very, very close family member who was involved in a same-sex relationship, and the kinds of vitriolic rhetoric that I was exposed to as a child. It was very hurtful because I was, as I said, very close to that family member.
This was vitriolic rhetoric from other family members
From
about
other
that family member.
about that family member.
Okay, understood.
You know, my great grandmother was, venomous. But I could not understand it because I would have to say that some of my most positive memories from childhood came from that particular relationship. About how people in a relationship relate to one another, and
You mean how you experienced those two people?
how I experienced those two people.
Gotcha.
I mean, obviously they did have their problems and they did have their
Like
issues
any
and stuff like
relationship,
anybody
yeah.
else. But some of my best memories of relationships came from that particular setting with that particular family member. So I was at odds. I was very confused when I experienced the two environments. So this environment, you know, I feel one way, but in this environment, it seems as though there is something ever so wrong with this one. It was traumatic. I would say that it was traumatic. The type of indoctrination that I would have gotten as a child.
What was the reasoning?
To the point.
Sorry, when you finish. But I wanted to know what was the reasoning your grandmother would give behind her response.
Marcus, my grandmother was 80 something. She ain't getting a reason.
No.
Oh, I thought
It
all.
wasn't no reasoning.
Okay.
It wasn't. That's
wrong,
That's it wrong. That's nastiness.
Oh,
You
okay,
can't
okay.
bring she up to be this and that and this and that.
Sometimes
She
all
better bring she here.
sometimes all roads lead to,
No.
to like a Christian background for me when I listen to people. So that's why I asked. Okay.
No, it had nothing to do. Well, from in my little understanding, it had nothing to do with Christianity. She just was against it, like, yeah. And it was traumatic for me to the point where I would have had attractions to females before, and it never occurred to me that there was any other relationship that I could have besides a heterosexual relationship. Like, that was it. You know, anything outside of that was hell and damnation, brimstone and fire. So, you know,
For
that
your
was
soul.
it. Huh?
For your soul.
Yeah, and that was it. In my immediate family, my mom had gay friends, had a gay couple that she was friends with who used to live across the pasture, and I used to go across there, and we used to talk, and they were the more effeminate of the couple. He was a hoot. He was so funny. He was so loving, and he was so all these different things. You know, I was like, I don't understand why they used to get all of this hate from the neighbors around them. And it was confusing for me up to a point, and then eventually I think it just came to the point where I resigned myself to the fact that this wrong, and I didn't want nothing to do with it, and that was the end of that. In my childhood, I would have also experienced women in my neighborhood who were literally attracted to me as a teenager. And I was like,
Predatory with it?
Some. Some of them were actually predatory. And I know that there would be this tendency of people to say, you see, yes, because there was lesbians and this and that and third. But there were predatory men in my neighborhood too. And they were more predatory than the women. You know what I mean? So I also had that experience, and because of the fact that I would have shut that down from very early, it was like it made me uncomfortable. So my whole experience with homosexuality or queerness was confusing.
Well, Gibbs, I want to ask you if your own perspective is saying you would say harden or soften over time.
I would say I just became enlightened because, as I told Kerry off camera, I had to unlearn a lot of things.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I came up in a household where I spent a lot of time in front of the television set, to be honest with you. You know, my mother wasn't the kind of mother that would spend a lot of time just imparting things on me and stuff. She was there, but I would spend a lot of time just watching TV or at school with my friends. So I was raised by television to a large degree. And then my interactions at school now. The funny thing about this whole homosexual thing is that when I was younger, it was seen as like a joke. Like, you used to actually make fun of people that you presume to be like that.
Count me out on all
But
the
I think the
things.
reason why it was easy to do it was because in your mind, the body ain't actually like this.
Right.
It's like some sort of myth. So if there's this one-off person that might seem kind of like that, you would just probably make fun of them a little bit because it's not a situation where they're being represented in numbers and they could come at you and say, well, you have a problem. As a body of people, it was a case of, oh, man, he might be one of them. And then, you know, you would start to make you fun, but as children, you don't realize how mean you are and how hurtful and damaging you could be because everything is a joke. So everything, you target this man, fat man, he's run like a girl, sissy man, whatever. So that was how it was for me. And then, as I was also saying, the music, the influences, because remember there was a time where the tolerance, quote unquote, or the acceptance was a lot less in every form, like movies, TV shows, everything, music we listened to, everything was pretty much saying, well, that is abnormal and strange and to some extent wrong. So automatically you understood, well, anything along that lines is a deviation of what society and the construct of society has said is normal. So it's only as we got older we started to see them slipping in particular individuals as minorities, a gay person here, a gay person there, and then I will never forget Will and Grace. Because I remember when Will and Grace come out and I found out that Will was gay. I was like, he gay, but he's a star. You understand? Because in my mind, a gay person is a minority, therefore they can't have a starring role in the show. So that's when I started to see the changes, and then I would see a lot of supporting characters in TV shows and movies starting to, you know, represent this minority or whatever.
And they used to find them stereotypical a lot of the time.
Yes, you know,
Not the stereotypes.
and the media would make fun of them too, and make them as jokes.
Right.
There will always be a joke. These overly flamboyant, overly, you know, extra.
Queer Waithe straight guys,
Exactly.
them sort of things. Yeah.
So automatically the association in your mind is gay people are a joke, or the gay people are a point of a punchline in some sense. It's only when you get older now and you might meet a person who tells you, well, I am gay or homosexual and it's not a joke and I actually go through things and I gotta live a life. That's when everything's hit you like,
Yeah.
so you mean in a joke? Like, this is a real thing? It's sad how there was actually a point where that was the thought process. Whereas like, these things are revelations to you. It's sad that we had to come from so far to a point now where we actually understand that gay people are people. There was even a comedy I was watching where a gay couple was arguing, a gay male couple, and the guy watching was like, they fight like real people. You understand? Because we were still at a point where we trying to come to terms with the fact that them is people though.
I want to ask you a question.
Them is Smurfs.
Saying that you brought up a good point about jokes, and I gonna be honest with everybody here. I think the point where me and activists is kind of get weird, right? Is that
You want to keep the jokes.
gay jokes are hilarious to me.
God.
I just make a lot. Like with my friends, I just make a lot of jokes. But the thing is, for me, jokes are no holds barred. I got a friend that real dark. We just call him Dark Vader. Like I got a friend.
He dark skin.
Wait,
Yeah,
you mean dark in terms of complexion?
he's a very
I
dark.
thought
I
he
told you
mean
to
dark
be
up here.
Nah,
Me and you thought the same thing. Me and you thought the same thing.
But like we call him.
But that was good. That was good.
Yeah.
That was good.
Right, but we call him Darth Vader. I mean, my friends just talk on me and thing. My friends just met sport at me. I like, okay, for example, the whole like how the gay thing kind of follows me.
They make jokes at you.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And then so then it's my turn to get you jokes, and then we make jokes with somebody else. And the thing about jokes for me is that jokes don't come from a bad place. When you make a joke, the
Major jokes is coming from about
Yeah.
a lot of jokes for me, like in terms of like, I don't think a joke has to be with your intent is to insult the body. Sometimes a joke is simply to make the person laugh, and whatever topic you're using is the tool that you will use to get them to laugh, right?
You would respect that. If you're joking with your friends, there's context because y'all are friends.
Right.
But if you then turn some of those same jokes that you have with your friends and you try to have them with perfect strangers, then it won't be funny anymore.
But yeah, but the audience
Because
changes.
I could
Right.
tell you for a fact
Right.
that I have gay friends and I joke around with them
Right.
about a lot of things. And then one time I was in a WhatsApp group chat with people who were less known to me, and the topic came up. Literally, anyhow, don't let me say it, because then people who know who them is. But anyhow, the topic came up. And because I am so accustomed being in that mode when I talking with my friends, I just said something very like offhand. But I didn't mean nothing about it, but nothing by it. Because if I was talking to my friends, they would know that I don't mean anything by that, because this is how we normally talk. But because I was saying it to strangers,
Right.
they thought that I legit felt the way that was reflected in what I said.
Right.
So context matters.
Okay, so do you base a joke more on intent or the person's reaction? Because if my intent is just to make you laugh, but your reaction is that you feel insulted, do you then change your frame of mind is now that I'm coming from a bad place?
I don't know if I can answer your question, but it's not about to start a whole new debate.
Conversation.
And the thing is, as Gibbs was pointing out, I think Bajans have a specific type of humor.
Yeah.
I mean, we here trying to like put
It's abusive human, man.
right.
Yeah.
We here trying to put Bajans in context as relates to LGBT issues. I think we can just as easily have a conversation about
Anything.
Bajan humor.
Yeah, in general, okay.
I could tell you for sure, Bajan dialect, when I want to make something sound worse, 10 times worse than it actually is, put it in Bajan.
Yeah.
And you know that it can sound like just, like a different version of it. So I would have to agree with what you're saying. But it sounds like it sounds like you saying, if I hear you right, it sounds like you saying that you in and that you're a man, you were going to March Pride or whatever,
Yeah.
but I want my jokes though.
My thing is that the context for me is more important than the content. So like if I say that I want to treat everybody equally and people making fun of everyone, there is this idea now that you can't make fun of certain groups of people. And if that's the case, that means you're treating them differently. So are you asking for special treatment or equal treatment? Right? So if we can make sport, I don't know, your hairstyle or my hairstyle or something like that, right? And then you make fun of somebody else because, I don't know, something that they do or it's how they act or something, and you start to pick and choose, then I think that is where the problem kind of comes. And I know that my idea of it is kind of controversial because people don't really agree with that. I just wanted to hear your opinion on that, because to some extent there is sometimes homophobia can be channeled in that way, in that those kind of like joking in a way, I don't really do it, but some people may do that. So
I think, if I can answer your question, I think that is a slippery slope. Because if you start talking about jokes, it's like what might be funny, or it might intend to make you laugh, and it might be funny to me, but it might not be funny to you.
Right.
And then when you talk about homophobia, like it's very easy to make something. It's very easy. Sometimes it's okay. The best way to answer your question, I've said a lot of jerky things all the time as a man. I've said a lot of things around people that, looking back now, that I'm real ashamed that I said them. With people, and I'm surprised the people insist saying to me about the fact that, you know, Corey, that's a real sexist thing to say or whatever. But you live and you learn. So you might not intend it that way, but it might be experienced that way by different people. Because you're Marcus, you are a straight man living in Barbados, and your experience has been yours. So it might be funny to you because you might be privileged.
Right.
But for somebody, they might experience it totally different. But I wanted to ask you guys, since we're talking about Barbadian context, we're talking about abusive humor and all of that, like, what do we think stops Barbadians from embracing LGBT people more than they actually do? What gets in the way?
I'll go first. I think, as I said before, what makes the difference is if there's a person in your life who is of that orientation. Because, you know, it's easy to say they got criminals out there, hang them, kill them, whatever. When somebody in your family now going happen to murder somebody, let me say it's vehicular manslaughter. So they was looking in the phone and they lit them a little girl. Now somebody in your family has killed somebody. So now the public calling for that person ahead, but this is you, cousin.
You feel different.
All of a sudden now you sensitize, you can go and research all kind of things now to defend your cousin, right? You might even want to go and study law. That's who we are as people. So it all makes a difference for me if you have a person in your life that you truly care about and respect. Respect is a serious thing. That is of that orientation. There are people in my life of that orientation that I respect highly. You understand? Peers, whether it's in the arts or whatever. So it's a situation where I personally had my experience in finding out, because in some cases I knew beforehand, in some cases I found out after the fact.
Okay.
It was interesting when I found out after the fact, because I was like,
You're talking about the orientation of certain
yeah,
individuals?
I'll be like, oh, okay, so I didn't realize. But that showed me a lot about myself, because I didn't even looking for anything. And when I saw certain things, it didn't even send off a bell, because I understand the diversity of people. So if you are a male dancer, I ain't gonna assume you like that automatically because you're a dancer and you're a male. So if I come to
from a lot of Bajans, boy.
right, so if so if I come to find out you like that now, then I'll be like, oh, I didn't automatically assume you were that way because you prefer to dance. If you're a male, let me say a fashion designer, I ain't gonna assume you are like that unless if I find out you're like that, well then fine. But I am not gonna assume like that off the bat because I know there are people who are just interested in unorthodox career choices and stuff. So for me, white people generally might have an issue is because, just like with slavery, and you know, you've got sometimes bring up the slavery to put a perspective in we black people head.
Some people hate that comparison.
He's got to do it. The reason why the Caucasians were able to treat us how they did is because they saw us as less than humans or not human at all. So in dehumanizing us in their minds, they were able to treat us a certain way because it's like, he's a good person. I could treat you like that because he ain't actually a person. At least that's not what the Bible says, the Bible that had. So it's a situation where if you don't see a person of a homosexual or even bisexual orientation or even transgender as a person, that's where the problem starts. With the acceptance. You don't see them as a person because you might not know any persons personally like that.
Sorry, before we move on, so Gibbs, what you're saying is, well, what I gather from that is that you think that our mentality of seeing people that are different from us as other stems from us being seen as other from back in slave days?
I ain't gonna tie it together as black and white as that.
Okay.
But what I'm saying, I use that example to provide context for how we could be looking at them as well, because it's a situation where there were white people back then who were against lynchings and all the atrocities that were being committed, but they told themselves, well, from what I seen, we treating them this particular way, God for a reason. I's a good person. I probably wouldn't do this to them, but it being done, so whatever. So that same approach is kind of was being ironically replicated here, where it's like, well, man, I guess they might be alright, but I I don't see them as people per se, or as, I ain't know none of them. They ain't in my life. So whatever happened with them, happened with them. So if some people happen to beat up one that was walking down the street, I ain't know whatever. I in my house.
I will add on, sorry. Go ahead.
Two things. I think that the reason you would have asked, what are the reasons why you feel that people don't embrace more than they do? And I think the three major reasons that I have observed, and that is religion, fear, and I don't mean fear as in we frightened for them, but I mean fear as in fear of the unknown.
Yeah.
And the third thing is socialization. I think
all three of them intimately.
And they are
connected.
so intertwined.
There's a lot.
Yes,
Yeah.
they're so interconnected. And the interconnectivity is so nebulous. It ain't even funny. The second thing that I wanted to mention is a dynamic that I'm observing here, and I don't even think Gibbzy realizes that he's doing it. But you have this us and them thing that you're talking about, where and in terms of actually addressing queer people or people of LGBT orientation, you're actually saying things like, if you're like that, or if you're like, and it is so it's so interesting.
He unlearning.
So interesting.
Get him on a chance. Get him on a chance. I know I said to you, but
that was not a criticism. That was just an observation.
Yeah, it's observation.
Yeah.
that's fine. I'm moving on to the next question. I just wanted to add on quickly to what Gibbs said, and that is that to remind viewers that part of our identity, for viewers who are regular privileged Barbadians, that we kind of, without realizing it, look at gay people, LGBT people, and form part of our identity by their existence as well. That's one thing. And I would argue too that most of our societies in this part of the world, I realized this when we had the elections and with the Natalie thing, and how people reacted when Natalie came out as a candidate, that there are segments of society that people keep in their heads as being underclass, and it kind of like helps them feel better about themselves and contextualize their lives. In our case, sex workers and LGBT people. But anyhow, without getting into that, what do y'all think will happen in Barbados if the laws change to recognize same-sex couples? What do y'all see happen in Barbados? Nothing? Can't be nothing.
I always used to try to simulate the outcome in my head, because the thing is about Bajans is that they might keep a lot of noise in the house and in private, but when you get out on the streets and stuff, like generally, I know there have been people in this country who have been attacked and who have been like physically assaulted for their orientation or whatever. But generally, I feel like the general population, for the most part, would just continue as normal. The conversations in the lunchrooms and in the houses will be very different, and they might go into society now and exchange and express their disapproval with a look or a comment, or just go straight down in the phone and start messaging somebody. Oh, I just see two of them outside the road. But it's going to be a situation where generally the behavior is not going to really change that much. It's just going to be a lot of passive resistance and passive aggression. I think that's, in my simulation, in my head, that's where it will go. But I could be very wrong.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I agree with you that I don't think it's gonna make much of a change in terms of the way people do things. You think about Barbadians, right? And I think I attribute this to the size of Barbados, but I could be wrong. But we let a lot of things that bother us slide when we are actually in in public because we don't have a choice but to interact with the things that we once spoke about that affected us, right? And it's kind of like if you know a girl that gets sexually abused, the chances are the abuser live like 3 gaps down the road. Like that kind of fact, the fact that we are so compact that even with something like homosexuality and homophobia, I think that contributes to the way that Bajans kind of express their passive aggression. Bajans don't show their hate in the form of hate crimes per se. It is a more subtle kind of
Passive.
a very passive kind of thing. So even if the same-sex marriages do happen, I think it will be business as usual. I think that Bajans can still just whisper under the breath, she get married the other day and think, he get married the other day. But I don't really think it can change much. I don't think it can change much.
Well, I wasn't even thinking about the same-sex marriage thing. I was just thinking about decriminalizing, let me say, remove the buggery law or whatever.
Right, that too.
Because that would be a big step for the government to do. So it just, in my head, just picture a lot of outcry. The churches.
Yes.
Well, I mean, if the church is gonna call a press conference for a parade, there would be a lot of outcry.
I feel there would be in terms of the something like the buggery law, that kind of thing. I feel there would be a huge public outcry. That's what I personally believe. Right. There would be a huge public outcry. But eventually it would go away like everything else.
Yeah, everything's become normal at some point. I think the church thing is something that is the thing I wanted to touch on the most though. Because the funny thing about I don't want to speak for other people's church experience, but for me going to church as a child was just, I used to make jokes about this, and I think I might offend some Christians, but I used to tell them, honestly, I think my mother just used to send me to church so she could cook in peace. You know what I'm saying? So I don't think it was really, it was just the thing to do. Like,
that is
left in here. I know where you can be safe for 2 hours.
I think
it's like daycare.
That's important.
It's like Sunday daycare.
Sunday school, you go Sunday school left me so I could cook. You understand? So we used to go to church as just a thing to do. And it's not like if in church we were taught anything. I mean, they went through Bible stories and David and Goliath and thing, but it was just a thing to go to and come back home. You understand? So when we
see you in church close no.
With your own Bible, I think my hand here. So when we talk about the Bible and the church and stuff like that, the thing is about a lot of us as people, we like to run to the Bible when it's convenient. Because a lot of things in the Bible we just disobey on a daily basis. You understand? If you really want to live by the Bible to a T, that's a trap you might be setting for yourself, because if you come out thumping that Bible, you best stick to the Bible in every way. And I find we, as they said about a lot of Bajans, we be Christians on a Sunday and then live the rest of the week up to that point. I know they got sign in the Bible about pigs and about the pig is unclean. And we love some sauce about here. So, and I know they got Christians that eat sauce. So my thing is that I never tried to go the Christian route or the biblical route when it came to certain things, because I know you're setting a hypocrisy trap for yourself. And then I worse than when you're talking and it hit you. I know really.
My foot,
my whole foot in my mouth now. And it's happened to a lot of people, because they will run to the Bible and say, Exodus such and such and such and such, but you doing things like wherever you're going right now is in direct contravention of certain laws in a chapter just before. So it's like you either want the Bible or you don't. So I think that's an issue that we struggle with in society as well.
I can throw some scenarios that you all know rapid fire. I want some rapid fire response. So when I toss the scenario, y'all, I want you to either say if you're ready for it or if you think Barbados is ready for it. So the idea that there is no gay agenda. There is no gay agenda. You think Bajans, are you ready for that?
What do you mean the idea? You mean the
So from my perspective, right, something I hear people complain about a lot, quote unquote straight people, because I never really I don't know what they're actually doing, but anyhow, people who for all intents and purposes are straight complain that their issue with LGBT people and gay rights is that they feel as though that gay people are forcing their views or forcing their lifestyle on them. Or more recently, I've been hearing people say that their issue with gay people is that they insist on being treated differently. So, and I mean, there are reasons for that. So they think that there is an agenda to take over as opposed to just equality, just wanting certain rights. So from my perspective, it's rights. But I hear a lot of people talk about the gay agenda. So you think that is something that people can swallow, this idea that they're in an agenda?
Well, my thing, I don't know if there's a response, but let me say hypothetically, the gay agenda meant that their plan is over the next 60 years that all straight people are eradicated from planet Earth. Let me say that is what
I shouldn't laugh.
the agenda is supposed to be. Then what you do after that?
You mean whether you just said all that happen or not?
No, let's say that it were to happen, that all straight people were eradicated from the earth, because this gay agenda means we want complete domination.
You mean eradicated or converted?
Just wiped out.
Okay.
All right, sorry. Don't let me start holding the debate.
Right. So let me just
whatever road you were going, don't go down.
Because obviously I use it extreme hyperbole at this point in time. Because all agendas have an outcome, like a goal. So if you have a gay agenda, it means some people's fear on a hyperbolic level is that when I want all of me gone, so when I could just rule the earth. But then to what ends? You understand? Like, what's the purpose of such an agenda?
So you think the average Bajan, so because the question is the average Bajan ready to accept that? You think the average Bajan thinking along their lines?
I don't think they think about it. Like, I ain't supposed to answer my own question. No, I just don't think that there's a lot of thought put into it. I just think it's a feeling, personally, when you say that there's an agenda, because you feel like things taking over. But I don't know if they think about it as far as Gibbs here.
I mean,
hypothesizing.
I go far out. So I just look past the rhetoric and be like, so where are we really going with this? You understand? Because the thing is about representation is that I understand that it must be an aggressive push in the beginning so that you could level out and get the goal you striving for. So like, let's say you were a white person, a bigot, a racist, whatever, who did not want black people to excel at all. It could be seen that had a black agenda from the civil rights movement and stuff, because all of a sudden, black people start infiltrating the NBA, black people start infiltrating the NFL, black people start getting decent jobs, black people start
affirmative action.
Right. So you see it. So imagine you against black. Period. To you, it can seem like this agenda because all they seeing is black people, because you're focusing on the black people. So every time a black person pops up in a room with 60 white people, you focusing and fixating on a black person.
It's gotta be up to something.
So to you, it seemed like you being inundated with this black thing because you don't want it. And you fear it ultimately, or you got some sort of hatred towards it. So it seemed like if that's all you're seeing, because that's what you're looking for. Marcus says that he's just live his life and almost be oblivious to a lot of things. So he would not be in a position like that. But a person who sits down and see things saying, man, this thing, these, you're going to see it everywhere because you're looking for it. So it's an interesting thing.
Well, hitting you with that point, right, in terms of seeing something everywhere, how do you think Barbadians react to same-sex couples on like billboards, or how you see a couple on anything, on a flyer, on a calendar, on a painted on a truck? You think Barbadians ready to see that? Or are you ready to see that?
Yeah, well, I personally, it would be strange to me because we are still, I am a product of my conditioning and my society and my, everything is a product of that. So I have grown up seeing within the formative years of my life a particular construct that is heterosexual. The cartoons I watch, the movies I watch, everything that I have ingested in my formative years, in the formation of my construct of what society is supposed to be is heterosexual. Understanding that there's this space for the abnormal and the different. So, because I am 32 years old, if I were to suddenly now see a lot of images of homosexual relationships depicted in media or whatever, I would have to now be understanding the fact that this is the direction the world going, and that I might be a little too indoctrinated already in my particular constructs to see this as normal. I may never live long enough to truly accept it.
Which plays right into my answer of it. My answer is no, I don't think that they're ready. But if we continue to wait on everybody to be ready, then it will never happen.
Will we do something unconventional and jump ahead a little bit, because time is of essence. So I want to move to the segment of the conversation where we look at what's happening now and we give our wrap-up thoughts on where we look into the future. So do we ever see the laws changing in Barbados? The two examples that I would give you all are, first of all, we had the Pride Parade here in Barbados, and the church reacted by calling a press conference. Church leaders, I don't let me say the church, some church leaders reacted by calling a press conference. And then you have the political leaders in the Caribbean whose approach to the issue is to say, well, you're not being prosecuted as gay people, so you could continue to live and whatever, nobody ain't gonna prosecute you, but the state does not formally recognize you either, recognize your existence as a couple or whatever. So is there anything you see ever changing that status quo? Y'all ever see something, or have we gone as far as we're gonna go?
Nah, we can keep chugging along. That's just the natural, because the thing is too, a lot of the older Bajans, sad to say, but it's a fact, they're gonna die out. And a lot of the constructs and concepts and ideologies that they carried are going to go with them, and a new age is going to usher in and you're seeing it already with younger children, because younger children are being introduced to certain things at an early age, and certain things are being more normalized to them. So it's a situation where when they get my age now, their perception of a lot of things is going to be so different to what mine is at this point in time. And then their children now are going to take it a step further. So it might take a while, it might take 4 generations, but the point is, the change pretty much is inevitable.
I agree with that. I agree with that, and not to mention the generation that you just described, I would call the social media generation. That's because the way that social media has influenced every single thing that we've done in the last 8 years. It's been really like social media has been rampant, like Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Google, all these things, really in overdrive for only 8 years in existence. And almost everything in our social fabric has been kind of unraveled and now getting restitched, right? And I think that what we have accomplished, or what we've seen being accomplished in other parts of the world in such a short space of time, I honestly think that Barbados, maybe because of where we're located, or the fact that we're an island, or the fact, a small and developing state, whatever, that our learning curve is slower than other countries that we will see, that we were exposed to via the media. But I think it's going to be really, really quick compared to what people may expect because of this social media push. I really think so.
I mean, I hear y'all. I hear y'all. Let me just say that I hear y'all. But I just don't know what will give policymakers the push that they will need to do things. The social media thing is huge, because I was remarking on Kadooment Day, I was down the bottom of University Hill, and some of the men that I saw wearing what they were wearing on the road that day, there is no way 20 years ago that I would have seen it. And in my head, I feel that what has been responsible for a lot of that change is the internet and social media, because just certain ideas are put out there. It gives people comfort to express themselves in ways that they would not have once felt comfortable expressing themselves, even if they feel as though the majority is still against them, because you know that you're around people who could just as easily go on social media, know on their phone, and see something halfway across the world, see men dressing in a similar way, or however you want to put it. I don't know if that's clear. But anyhow,
Yeah.
I would like you to give your wrap up, just like how you see society changing towards the future now, within the next 5-10 years. If there are any causes that you yourself support or feel that people should get behind in Barbados, pro or anti-LGBT. I mean, if it's anti, you gotta come correct, but that's just from my perspective with this discussion that we're having. But each person, starting with Kerry.
I feel in terms of basic human rights, I think that we need to, as a society and as individuals, sit down and actually examine what we mean when we say basic human rights. Gibbzy and I were talking off air, and I was saying to him, basic human rights mean basic human rights and equality in terms of what you are allowed to do and what I am allowed to do. You are a heterosexual male, and you are allowed, because you are a heterosexual male, to express the fact that you love your partner, express the fact that you want to have a family with your partner or whatever, without any condemnation or anything like that. I am a human being just like you. The fact that I may express myself differently to my partner or be attracted to a different type of partner does not give me any less right to express my love to some person. Do you understand? So I want us to get to a point where we actually sit down and examine what basic human rights means, and then
is there a cause that you
push
can put
for equality between amongst human beings, right? So cause same-sex marriages in Barbados, decriminalization of homosexuality.
No, I was asking, like, just as a follow-on, what because I hear you on the human rights issue, like recognizing human rights. Is there anything, like, in terms of organized effort that you could see that would push people in that direction in Barbados?
When you say organized effort,
anything that in terms of activism that somebody might be doing or could do, or a concept that could be introduced to Barbados that would get people to start thinking the way that you're talking about. You may gotta come back to me.
you might gotta come back.
All right, fair enough, guys, man. Yeah, what you see happening in the next 5-10 years, if there are any causes that you feel that people should get behind here in Barbados?
Well, as I said before, within the next 5 to 10 years, I see that people will start to become a little more, as you had said, softened on certain things. It's going to take time. As I said before, I use myself as the perfect test subject because I see my learning curve, because I have actually actively sought knowledge from people within the community, because it was just things I didn't understand. And I felt who better to speak to than a person that, especially because I have friends who are actually involved in the activism and stuff like that. So I said, well, let me talk to them. Because, as I said before at the very beginning, human beings interest me greatly, and I like saying, just talking to people. And I find that is the best way to really get to the core of a lot of issues and just strip away all the things that you would have heard and that you might even have as a preconceived notion. I just talk to the person and find out what you actually do when the days come. Like, how do you live? Like, what issues do you face?
Actually, that he said that there's actually, I don't know if this is what you meant when you were asking that question, but there's actually a group called Join the Conversation, which is specifically targeted towards what Gibbs is talking about. Join the Conversation is about persons getting to know, getting to have conversations about the things that they want to talk about or the things that they need to educate themselves about concerning the LGBTQ community. And I think Join the Conversation is an excellent initiative.
Okay, that's something that people should get
Yeah,
into.
because I was very confused as to the difference between queer and gay. Like, so I went to a person in the community and asked them, like, explain that to me, because I think science, the ignorance too, leads to frustration.
The actual definition of ignorance, not the
Yeah,
definition.
because to
The
be
lack of
perfectly
knowledge,
honest,
right?
when you don't understand something, science is just make you upset. Sometimes you be more upset about the fact you don't understand it than the thing itself, you know. So sometimes when you just educate yourself, that knowledge alone is liberating in a way, and you can walk with some sense of peace. Like, okay, I understand. So if you don't understand the process of becoming a transgender person or whatever, the process, ask a person a question, for what it was for them, and that might help you to, instead of being fearful, because if that's saying you fear what you don't understand, that's a lot truer than we might realize. So if you just have a conversation with a transgender person, and they tell you, man, listen, it was difficult, I had to do this and that, you might walk away saying, whoa. You might even be inspired. So you never know. So I am in a stage in my life now where I'm just trying to learn some more things and just have conversations with people. And just forget all the... and there's signs your own shame too. As you have said earlier, things that you have said, you might be a little ashamed of yourself. And that's why you might turn around now and have animosity towards a person, because it's your own guilt and resentment of yourself that you might be just projecting on that person too. So when you look that person in the face, no, you can't even have a conversation because you know what you said about them yesterday, or what you said about that set of people. So it's a lot of different things we just need to be introspective about and actively seek to improve yourself and just learn and stuff. So.
Cool horse, Marcus.
Yeah,
Thoughts.
I agree with Gibbs, man, because I think that a lot of Bajans sentiments derive from just lack of knowledge. That's it. If you just research, so like I would talk to people and they would tell me, well, the reason why people are homosexuals is because they were once abused when they were younger, and it's like, like there's no evidence to support that. None. There's none, right? There may be a correlation, maybe, right? But that doesn't mean that there's a causation necessarily. Then if I tell somebody, did you know that that the more older brothers someone has, increases the likelihood that they will be homosexual, right? That's the fraternity birth order, which points to the direction of biological origins, right? So that in the event that people are actually born gay, and then there are also studies with identical and fraternal twins to support that this is actually biological and not sociological. That means that we're discriminating against people because of their immutable characteristics that they were born with. And if that's setting a very dangerous precedent for everybody else, right? So I think that if people knew this stuff, maybe that would be a step in the right direction, and people, and the best way to learn, as Gibbs said, is you gotta talk to people. You gotta
right people.
There's this like I don't know if you ever,
not just your people.
Yeah,
don't talk amongst your friends.
Exactly.
I
know
that's a cultural thing too.
Like
being comfortable talking to people who think like you.
Precisely. Like you read Harry Potter, right?
No, I never did.
Good. Oh shit. You read Harry Potter?
Yeah.
Okay. Right. And Harry Potter, they had a guy named Voldemort, right? And right.
Everybody know him.
Oh, okay. I say it. So they had a guy named Voldemort. And Voldemort did something so bad, and he was like this, and people saw him as this evil person to the point where people didn't call his name, and they would call him "He Who Shall Not Be Named," right? But because no one spoke about him, their opinions about what this thing was, they festered, and then they developed into something else, to the point where he lost his humanity, and people saw him as something like a monster, right? So from not talking about him,
that's what he got
possibly.
Continue, please.
When you don't talk about something, it develops into something more than it actually is, and I think that is one of the main things that Bajans need to understand. When you communicate with people, a lot of the misconceptions you have can be nipped in the bud and not go into something that is totally inaccurate, right? So I think that we just need to communicate with people more often, and our approach to just like that approach of you do what you're doing cross there, I can be cross here, needs to stop. If you are tolerant, if you say you're tolerant, you would communicate with people and realize that you can't judge them by that, you gotta judge them by, the package they present to you.
So if
So
people
basically
want to
John
know
message.
where you stand as far as the roles that you act and roles that you take, they need to talk to you. They need to communicate with you specifically.
Yeah, they gotta talk to me. It's
Yeah,
good.
just
Yeah.
teasing. But I surely want to thank my panel, man. Y'all guys been awesome. Marcus, Gibbs, Kerryann. I really want to acknowledge my co-host, especially for co-hosting.
Man, thanks,
First
man.
co-host.
Thanks for the invite,
Yeah,
man. I
no,
really enjoyed it.
I got a lot of respect for research in some sense as a forum in general. So we hope to do some things in the
Maybe we
future.
should do one on this topic.
Yeah.
Yeah, invite me. Give me my chance to speak my piece. I just just playing it out there. No pressure. But anyhow, I want to say my thank yous before we roll out, especially to the Global West Indian for putting us on, for all the effort and all of the technical know-how and expertise that goes into bringing this to you. I want to thank my team, Sherwin, Shakira, Nikita, Katrina. Those names are so similar sometimes I feel the inclination to mix them up, but these are all very special people, very important to the effort in terms of what you see put on here. And yeah, we look forward to 2 weeks. You can check out my blog in the space in between, sickofyoucorey.wordpress.com, and within 2 weeks we will be back to you. Our next show is going to be body goals versus public health realities. So we're looking at modern approaches to health, or I guess the best way to put it is Bajan gym culture. How that Bajan gym culture and how Bajan gym culture actually lines up with public health. So in theory, we'll be having someone from government to actually talk about what the government's public health goals are, but how that lines up with gym culture.
I'll be watching that.
And you know, approach the diet and all them kind
I'll
of
be
things.
watching that.
Anyhow, yeah, that was in 2 weeks' time, so we look forward to that. Thanks again, you guys, for tuning in. Yeah, tell a friend, basically. Share this video. Thanks a lot, and we check you in 2 weeks.